Did you guys end up above average in the Greensboro area, Triad area for the fall as well?
Oh, you know what? I was so busy snow forecasting today, I didn't actually take a good hard look at the 3 months. But over the last 3 months for us, I can pull it up quick on our buddies at the Southeast Regional Climate Center. It's funny, we were actually right about on par.
Wow.
So for the 3-month fall from September through Thanksgiving, 60.2 is the average temperature, which is just 0.2 above average.
Yeah.
So pretty much on the nose. And what's interesting even still is the high temperature was just 0.1 above average, and the low temperature was 0.3 above average. So it was really kind of even compared to usual. The biggest thing that stands out is we were about 5 inches dry.
Yes.
So about half the rain that we would want to see for the fall season. So the drought continues. Today didn't help all that much.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could quickly rant, though, about all the headlines we're going to see about it's not even winter yet, but it's cold.
Yeah.
And it's snowing in December.
Yeah. I love the meteorological seasons from a climate and weather standpoint. They make sense for the numbers that we use. And if you're going to be talking about weather, you got to go with the meteorological seasons. You can't go with the astronomical, which is kind of silly. I always feel like, hey, every snowflake and raindrop that falls right now counts as winter. It doesn't count as fall. So we probably should call these all winter storms because we're technically in winter right now. One last thing, we're almost out of time. I want to get your thoughts. The hurricane season ended as well. Any thoughts on what a weird season it was? They had no landfalling hurricanes in the U.S. for the first time in 10 years, but we had 2 impactful storms, Chantal for you guys, which was a big impact, and then Barry, which landfall in Mexico, but people forget the remnants of that caused the Texas flash flooding. So 2 systems impacted us. Even though they weren't hurricanes, they were impactful for the United States.
Just a weird season for sure, and in a good way to not have those impacts. But, if you just had to straight up ask me, well, why was that season just not that active? I don't know if I have an easy 1-sentence answer to kind of sum that up. I think that it'll be interesting to kind of do some reading going forward in the next couple of months to kind of see the explanations behind that. But definitely a very active recurve pattern offshore. And that's something we would like to see continue in future seasons because it's been good for us. We also mentioned throughout the season, though, how devastating it was to the Outer Banks with erosion, too. So even those far offshore systems without rain have a big impact.
All right. Well, that's all our time. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, I'm sure we'll talk more about our winter event coming up on Friday. More news coming up after the break.
All right, welcome to the next 2 hours here on WCNC Plus. I got some news for you, but we're going to start with a little bit of sports, and I'm sure you've probably seen this man not only on the Manning Cast a couple weeks back, but probably right here in Charlotte after a huge win against the Green Bay Packers. We had Carolina Mike come to the game after that big win, and obviously they didn't win that game, but it was I think a W for the entire crowd and for all of the fans of the Panthers to see you in flesh and blood, Mr. Carolina Mike. So it's great to have you on our show. 150,000 has gone so many places and taken you so many places, and it sounds like it's continuing to. So let's just start there, man. How did you think or create this song, just from a creative standpoint?
Sure. I'll tell you that, but first I gotta say, what up, party people? Okay, so thank you so much for having me on. How I came up with it, I'll give you the abbreviated version. If you want to dig in, feel free to dig in. Right around 2023, I was pushing myself to write as many songs as I could, and I was supposed to do like 30 songs in 30 days, but I got to like 5 days, and so this beat was one of those 5, and just listening to it, started kind of humming, and the chorus just kind of came to me, and I'm like, okay, now I got $150,000 in my brain. What am I gonna do? And so I just thought of some cool, fun ways that I could spend an amount that's not a huge amount, but also not a tiny amount, and I just wanted to have fun with it. So that's the genesis of it.
I mean, I love how natural you are. You seem to be just a very creative, humble person. I don't know you personally, but I think just looking at you through Instagram, I see you're a father like me, which is cool. So I know this isn't your day job, my friend. I've got to ask you about just how you started on 150,000. Like, why not 100,000? Why not 50,000? What about that ambiguous number grabbed you?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. So, like I said, I was just listening to the beat before it even had any lyrics, and I just started humming, and it was like, and it was like 150. Like the number of syllables made sense. Like 100,000 didn't sound right, and I didn't want to use 1,000,000 because that's already been done.
Right, right. Man, I love you, man. All right. So, what about your government name? Is it Mike? Is part of it Mike?
It is. So there's a little play on words there.
Okay.
But the name is Mike. That's where the Mike comes from.
I won't go in too much because I think Carolina Mike is all it needs to be said. What did your mind go to when you saw yourself on the Manning Cast? I was blown away. I mean, and they played the song not in its entirety, but they played a good portion. Yeah.
Luke Cole shouted.
They actually cut it off before I got to the money toss. I was like, you could have given me just a few more seconds. No, that whole night was crazy. I'm sitting there in Buffalo Wild Wings all by myself watching this game, and all of a sudden I start getting all these comments on YouTube, and people are like, Luke Combs sent me here, or the Manning Cast sent me here. Who's here because of Luke Combs? And I was like, what are you talking about? And then one of the producers for the Believe Network reached out. She still had my number, and she was like, did you see you're on Manning Cast? I'm like, what are you talking about? And so she sent me a link to Twitter, and I saw it on there, and it was just, it still doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Like, any of it.
Right. Well, and that was after you showed up at a Charlotte game in person. Talk about how that went down, because honestly, about a month and a half ago, I think I fell onto your page somehow, and I said to my wife, I'm like, this man is going to be a legend very soon. And honestly, within that month, you were at the game, it became a big thing. And how did they reach out? How did that start?
So it actually started out with Roaring Riot. So I got to give a shout out to Roaring Riot. They're a fan org, tailgate org, and they reached out, invited me to come down to sing at the tailgate.
Yeah.
And I was like, sure. And then apparently some folks talked back and forth, and Panthers got wind of it, and they reached out and they were like, hey, so you're going to be in town. Would you like to, come on and do this at the stadium? And I was like, heck yeah. I mean, I was a little nervous, but I was like, you're not going to say no to that.
Yeah.
And so that was like, I mean, there was actually 3 huge things that happened that day, if you don't mind me like getting
Please.
into it. Like,
Yeah.
So, after Roaring Riot contacted me, and then the Panthers contacted me, I had been working with NFL Today Plus on streaming on Paramount, and they happened to get back to me and said, we want to do something that same weekend that you're going to be in Charlotte. And I was like, well, I'm already kind of committed.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what, we can work around it. And so here's how that day went. All right. Well, first we flew to Charlotte Saturday, wake up 5 a.m. in the morning. I get ready, go set up in the hotel for a live feed for NFL Today Plus, sound check. From there, over to the Panther Stadium, Bank of America, sound check, run through. From there, it's back to the Roaring Riot for a sound check at the tailgate. From there, back to the hotel to actually do the live feed for NFL Today Plus, where I got to like get interviewed by Nate Burleson. I sang it, and then he actually sang. He did his verse on it, which was super cool. I was a little jealous because his verse was better than mine. And then from that over to do the Roaring Riot tailgate. From the tailgate over to the Panthers to actually do that performance. So it was just a crazy day.
What a day, man.
Yeah.
Man, it almost sounds like driving Mr. Daisy around the whole game.
It was wild. It really was.
Man, I got to give it to you, man. You've got a lot of stage presence, and I this is not a knock to the compilation that you put together, because I've tried to rap and it sounds awful. This is not. You have a day job too, by the way. It sounds like you're a technology guy. Is that right?
I am. I work with like SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, and
Okay.
Power Apps, and all that nerdy stuff. Yeah.
But you're not. But this seems like to be in your wheelhouse. I mean, honestly, the beat is catchy. The words do make sense, unlike in a rap that you would hear from me. So have you rapped on other or done other things outside of this? This doesn't seem like your first foray into the rap business.
Well, I mean, this is like the first thing that has popped off. I mean, I've been releasing songs since 2018, and I've done a few local shows here or there. But I think a lot of it comes from just sort of being in music throughout my life. And I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps band, and so we had a show band, and I was one of the singers in the show band, and so we would go do cover songs in the community, and so I think I gained a lot of it from that as well.
Wow. So you're a veteran as well. We appreciate you serving so much, Mike. Man, there are just so many questions that I have for you. Can I ask this? Because my kids don't care what I do. Do you have any children, and do they know what you're doing right now?
Yes, my daughter knows, and she
Okay.
is very emphatic about, some opportunities pop up, and if it's on a day that she's supposed to be with me, we co-parent, and so if it's one of her days, she's like, nah, dude, like nope, not happening.
Right.
And so, which I really appreciate, and so she as long as dad is there, and we do our normal stuff, she doesn't really get too carried away with all the other stuff.
Yeah. Well, what you're doing is really wholesome. I think it was needed during a time, when the Panthers obviously were going through some rough spells, and when you came to that game after the Green Bay game, that was one of the highlights of that game. Honestly, was to have you in the stadium. It was obviously a tough game, and so far the Panthers have bounced back. My last thing for you is you're in enemy territory, my friend. I won't give you away at where you live unless you want to tell that. But you don't live in Charlotte, and my parents live in northern Wisconsin, so I know the type of atmosphere you live in terms of nature, and trying to get from one building to the next. But talk
You certainly
about
can't drive a Porsche over there, that's for sure.
You certainly can't drive a Porsche.
Yeah, it's in the song, so I mean,
Maybe,
figure it out. I'm in
maybe an
Minnesota,
all-wheel
it's all
drive.
good.
Okay, so you're in Minnesota. How is it living there? And people, they know your face. They know you're a Panthers fan. They probably ask, why aren't you a Vikings fan? Can I ask how you're all the way up there and you're a Panthers fan?
Well, you asked a couple of different questions.
Okay. I did. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I can process it. I'm up here. I mean, well, I came up here after I got the Marine Corps because I wanted to move to a bigger city and just sort of find my way. And so when I came here, everybody would it's either Vikings or Packers, maybe Bears, and I just wanted to cling to my home team because I actually had a home team. Went so many years without having a team.
Right.
That when I got here, I was like, y'all are representing your teams. Well, I'm going to cling to my home team. And for the most part, people are fine with it, unless you go to a game and the Vikings are winning and I'm wearing Panther stuff. A few years back, people get a little sauced up and they get a little wild, but everything's fine. Yeah.
Well, good. Well, Carolina Mike, I've asked you a ton of questions that you've been gracious enough to field for us. I guess the last thing would be from me, and I'll ask you if you want to wrap up anything. When will we be seeing you next on a television that's close to us? Do you know?
Ooh, on a television. That's. I know there was another interview that I wrapped up a few weeks ago that I believe is going to be on. It escapes me what network, but as far as appearances go. January 20th, Wake Forest University has invited me to perform at halftime at a men's basketball game, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, cool, man. I'm hoping we can get up to Winston-Salem then to see that, meet you in person. Anything else? And, I think it's just so cool. You've inspired, I think, a lot of individuals who want to do something that they love to be able to do so, right, even in their spare time. So you've inspired a lot of people to, stay true to themselves. So I want to thank you for that. Anything else that comes to mind from you that you wanted to kind of elaborate on or talk about here?
Just to tag off what you said, I know a lot of times people have things they want to try, things they want to do, and for whatever reason, life gets in the way. Don't let it. If you want to write a song, write the song. You want to learn how to play tennis, go play tennis or pickleball. Although tennis is, I think tennis is better than pickleball. But just go do it. And don't wait because tomorrow is not promised.
Yeah. Well, you're such a genuine person, and we wish you all the success in whatever that you choose to do, Mr. Carolina Mike. So appreciate your time. We hope to have you back in Charlotte here soon, my friend.
Thank you. I hope to be back. And please don't forget to follow me, Instagram, Carolina_MIC. And listen to my new single, Maple Syrup. It is out everywhere.
I love that maple syrup. My man. All right, Carolina Mike, we appreciate you, my friend. Stay warm. We appreciate you, all right?
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll be back after this. It is that time of the year, and the U.S. Capitol just lit their Christmas tree. We're going to go to this right now.
Other fresh cut and fragrant trees throughout the many federal buildings here in Washington. For those visiting Nevada, I challenge you to go beyond the bright neon lights, and you'll discover that it's a recreator's paradise and has everything you could possibly desire when enjoying the great outdoors. From riding the ski trails on Mount Rose to exploring the ponderosa pine forest and hiking scenic vistas across all corners of the state. This year's campaign theme, Starry Skies to Neon Lights, Spirit of the Silver State, is a fitting tribute which captures Nevada's natural beauty, the history of the land, and the brightness of its residents. Before I conclude, I want to extend my deepest congratulations to the Forest on a job well done getting this important milestone. Your careful planning, your collaborative spirit, and your impressive teamwork are a great credit to you and represent the greatness of the Forest Service employees. I also want to share my appreciation to the many sponsors and partners who believe in the spirit of this campaign and the spirit of Christmas and have dutifully donated their time, their finances, and services to make this project happen. Thank you especially to the Society of American Foresters, Sierra Forever, and our presenting sponsor, 84 Lumber. Thank you for allowing me to celebrate and recognize a piece of the great work the Forest Service is doing to serve the American people. Merry Christmas.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Stavros Anthony, Lieutenant Governor of Nevada.
Thank you. Again, my name's Stavros Anthony. I'm honored to be Nevada's Lieutenant Governor. And I just want you to know how excited our Nevadans are to have this Christmas tree for the first time here on the Capitol grounds. So thank you, Speaker Johnson. Thank you, Secretary Rollins, for hosting us tonight, and all our great Nevadans for coming out. It was about 6 months ago when the U.S. Forest Service contacted me and told me that Nevada, for the first time, was going to get picked for the Capitol Christmas tree, and they asked me to be part of the process. And this has been quite a journey, quite an exciting journey to get where we are today. And first of all, I just want to say how professional the U.S. Forest Service employees are. These are some of the most dedicated, professional people I have ever met, and they take this process very seriously. So please give a nice round of applause to all the U.S. Forest Service employees that are out here. They are absolutely wonderful. And it started with, we had to create 10,000 Christmas tree ornaments. And I said, that's a lot of ornaments. We ended up creating over 20,000 ornaments for this tree. That's how excited Nevadans were. Next, we had to pick a kid from Nevada who's going to read an essay talking about the great state of Nevada. And we had around 250 kids submit essays. The U.S. Forest Service and some other folks went through them, selected 3 that they thought were the best, and they gave those 3 to me to pick the finalists. And once I read all 3 were great, but Grady Armstrong was the one that stood out the most. Grady is here. You're going to hear from him tonight. His family's here. They live in Virginia City, Nevada. Virginia City was one of the wealthiest cities in the world at one time because of the gold and silver mines. Today, the mines aren't as productive as they used to be, but Virginia City is still a great place to live, great place for a kid like Grady to grow up, and a great tourist destination. So if you ever come out to Nevada, please visit Virginia City. And next, obviously, the tree was selected. It was selected from northern Nevada. It started its journey on the Nevada Day Parade a couple of weeks ago, and then it went down through Winnemucca, through Ely, down to Las Vegas for its last stop in Nevada, and then it went across the country. And I want to give a little shout out to the truck driver. I don't know where he is, but this truck is massive, absolutely massive, and he treated this tree like it was a diamond that would not be chipped. And I want to thank him for bringing it out here safely. So thank you for all of you coming out. Nevada is proud to have their tree here on the Capitol grounds. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mark Amadei, United States Representative from the 2nd District of Nevada.
Good evening. Is there anybody here from Hugh Gallagher Elementary? Home of the Miners? Anybody from Virginia City High School, the home of the Muckers? All right, that's a little bit better. Come on, we've got the weather just right for 6,200 feet in Virginia City. You guys ought to be going. Grady, thank you for bringing your parents along. We're absolutely proud of you. Your mom is actually an alumna of Virginia City High School, so that's great. You're like a legacy guy. Good man. Your dad, Douglas Tigers, not so much. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So listen, I want to thank you for your efforts at the at what you wrote. I've read it several times. Pretty darn good, strong stuff. You can hang with anybody floating around here. But hey, folks, look around you where you're at. This is a Nevada night, looking down the mall with the Capitol in the background. The speaker's shivering a little bit, but he'll warm up by the time he has to give his talk. So don't worry about that. It's not Gulf Coast weather. The people from Southern Nevada, great job on this sunset here. They were in charge of the eye wash. Northern Nevada's in charge of the temperature, so enjoy it. At least it's not wet again. Grady, congratulations. Congratulations to the state of Nevada. Go Virginia City Muckers.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Catherine Cortez Masto, United States Senator from Nevada.
Well, good evening. All right, we do have to do a shout out. Where's our Nevadans? Let me hear you. Yes. I have to say, we are all honored to be here celebrating the first ever Capitol Christmas tree, the people's tree from the great state of Nevada. And don't you think it's about time? So excited. I also want to thank the men and women of U.S. Forest Service for making sure that Silver Bell arrived here safely and for the often thankless work they do to protect our forests. I also want to thank the Speaker, our Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary Rollins, our entire delegation, and our Lieutenant Governor as well for being here. Let me say, this isn't the only tree, as this tree isn't the only one who's traveled a long way to be here. I have to thank also, and you've heard a shout out to him, but to Grady Armstrong. If you're going to hear from him, he's an incredible young man and so articulate. And I'm telling you, I've done some interviews with him. He gives better interviews than I think most of our delegation. He is amazing. He knows everything about this tree and the holiday season, and that's why I understand he was picked to be here today. So this year's People Tree is, as you have heard, is beautifully decorated with 23,000 unique ornaments, many of them provided by Nevadans throughout the state. To get to Washington, D.C., Silver Bell traveled throughout the Silver State, as you've heard, then across the country, and this tree really has been on a journey. It comes to us from one of the largest national forests in the lower 48 states, Nevada's Humboldt-Toyabe National Forest. To many people that don't understand Nevada, yes, we have forests. There's more than just the wonderful neon lights of Las Vegas, and that's why as Nevadans, we are so proud to be here to join in this evening. Last year, however, I want to say why this is so special for us. Last year, a patch of the Humboldt-Toyabe National Forest was the site of the Davis wildfire, which ravaged 5,800 acres of land over 18 days before our incredible firefighters contained it. Those are our firefighters, our wildland firefighters, our Forest Service men and women who work in the Forest Service fighting fires, as well as some of our National Guard. But you may not know this. One of those firefighters, and one who is out there every single day, is Grady's dad, Brent. And I want to thank him and our U.S. men and women, the Forest Service, and our firefighters for everything they are doing. They are keeping our communities safe. The Davis fire destroyed homes and devastated local families, leaving behind an ugly burn scar. But over a year later, The community is stronger than ever. Students are planting new trees in the forest, and Silver Bell, standing tall in one of our country today, is actually, it's a symbol of that resilience and perseverance. I can't think of a better story to represent the American spirit. In times of hardship and suffering, we find a way to forge ahead and prevail. That is the story of our country, and as the People's Tree illuminates our nation's capital this month, may it serve as a reminder to all Americans that there is always light and hope, especially during the holiday season. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Brooke Rollins, United States Secretary of Agriculture.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Brooke Rollins, and I'm just so pleased to be here. I'm going to keep this super short because I know we're all a little chilly, and we want to hear from Grady, and we want to see him light this tree. But a couple of quick things. First, on behalf of my boss, President Donald Trump, and our entire cabinet, to all the Nevadans in the audience tonight, welcome to Washington, D.C. We are so happy to have you here. This morning, we celebrated at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the People's Department we like to call it, founded by Abraham Lincoln in 1862, and had a lot, probably the same crew of Nevadans in with us just down the mall on the left. And I will say the people that I met, from Grady, his two beautiful little sisters, Hadley and Paisley, they're amazing parents, as we talked about, a firefighter and a teacher from beautiful Nevada. I mean, this is real America, and the opportunity to be here with all of you, but especially with you Nevadans, as we celebrate the very first tree in a 55-year history from your beautiful state. As you all head home tomorrow or the next day, know that you're taking a little bit of a piece of my heart with you. It's just been such a joy. The final thing I want to say is how privileged and honored and proud I am to serve all of the amazing people in the United States Forest Service, a part of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. One of the great unexpected joys and blessings of my work over the last year at USDA has been getting to know these incredible people who put their lives and their work and their passion and everything they have every day into protecting our beautiful forests across this great country. As we move toward the lighting of this tree, may we never forget the reason for the season and what this light represents behind us, the light of the world. God bless you, God bless America, God bless Grady, and God bless this incredible tree, Silver Bell, from the amazing state of Nevada. Thank you all so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mike Johnson, Speaker of the United States House of Representatives.
Well, thank you all so much. It is always hard to follow Secretary Brooke Rollins, so thank you for being here. Glad that you could make it. And we first, of course, want to thank Chief Schultz and Mr. Austin for making this night possible, as well as the man who did journey across the country to bring this beautiful tree to the Capitol. His name is Michael Porter, and I would ask you to stand, but it's so dark we can't even see where you are. But Michael, thank you for that heroic effort. There he is. Hey, all right. Thanks also to the entire Nevada delegation. We're grateful to you for sharing a piece of your home state for all the nation to enjoy. And right on cue, we have sirens to alert us to all this. For my friends from Nevada, we are shaking. We're from Louisiana. Some people pronounce it Louisiana. So we always say Nevada, and now it's supposed to be Nevada. Just forgive us. Forgive us. We're trying to get it right, okay? We're really glad you made it all, and the weather really is beautiful for this evening. I know for all of us, Christmas time is a season of light and hope and renewal. This time invites us to pause and reflect on the many blessings that God has bestowed upon our lives and upon this great nation. And tonight, I'm getting upstaged a little bit by the sirens here. And tonight offers one of those rare moments where we can gather together and take stock of all those blessings. Now, behind me stands the great state of Nevada's very first Capitol Christmas tree, as we've all heard. It stands at a proud 53 feet, and even in this dark season, this tree shines bright, not from just one light, but from thousands shining together. And in much the same way, the strength of our nation is found in the individual, in the small towns and neighborhoods, in places like Elko and Incline Village and Henderson and Virginia City. But all of us know that America, not unlike this tree, is strongest when we stand together as one nation under God, and we can never forget that. We also know that great trees take generations to grow. Red firs like this one require the right conditions and decades of careful tending to rise to their full majesty. And so too with this great republic of ours. Like the fir, the work of preserving this grand experiment in self-governance is also generational. And it falls to us to steward and protect it so that our children may inherit all the blessings that we enjoy today. So next year, as we look ahead, we'll be celebrating our nation's 250th birthday. And we want to remember that sacred responsibility and to renew our commitment to this essential task that we have together. Christmas is a fitting time to do just that, to look beyond our material blessings and to lift our gaze on high, just as the wise men once did on their journey to Bethlehem. As we approach the end here, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas from our family to yours. And I know that we look forward to this time every year. It is about 20 degrees warmer than it was last year with a brisk wind, so you're blessed. We all are. I now have the privilege of inviting the man of the hour we have heard so much about. He's far more qualified than I to light this magnificent tree, and I'm going to ask him to join us up here. Grady will come up. Grady Armstrong comes here all the way from Virginia City, as you heard. That's right. This is his first trip to Washington, D.C. He's 9 years old. He is a gifted young writer. He won this year's Capital Christmas Tree Essay Contest among the hundreds of participants, as we heard. I'm also told, and this is not hyperbole, okay, what went into this essay was literal blood, sweat, and tears. Isn't that true? Grady, I heard you cut your pinky while writing this. Isn't that true? Yes, okay. So we want to thank you for your sacrifice, young man, and for your great talent that you're sharing with us. And I can assure everyone his painstaking work was well worth our wait. So Grady, my dad was a firefighter also. And we got a lot in common, almost even our height, my friend. But we're going to bring you a podium here, so you get our little stand we can stand on. Is it under here? It'll help a little bit. Grady, everybody, here we go.
Thank you, Speaker Johnson, and hi. My name is Grady Armstrong, and I am 9 years old in the 4th grade at Hugh Gallagher Elementary School in Virginia City, Nevada. My grandpa worked at Mount Rose Ski Area for nearly 50 years, and my dad is a firefighter at Lake Tahoe. My mom is a teacher right here in Virginia City. They have shown me the love for the forest, nature, and the outdoors. I want the country to know how special Nevada's public land and national forests are. These lands are full of wonder, from big animals like elk, mule deer, bighorn sheep, and even moose, to smaller animals like fish, lizards, and birds. Hiking with my family, I have seen water bubble out of the earth in places that look super dry. These springs give life to so many plants and animals. Sometimes you can find arrowheads near these springs, a reminder of the life they gave tribes that lived off the land. We also love seeing ancient petroglyphs carved into rocks by people who lived here long ago. My favorite wilderness areas are Mount Rose and Arc Dome. We've also visited the Sheldon Antelope Refuge and the Massacre Rim Dark Sky Sanctuary, where the night sky is so dark you can see millions of stars. One of my favorite things to do is when our family takes what my mom and dad like to call Nevada highways, which are nothing more than dirt roads in the middle of nowhere. We've found ghost towns, abandoned mines, and the most amazing untouched landscapes. You don't have to go far to enjoy Nevada. Right from my school playground, you can look east for hundreds of miles over the mountain ranges that make up the Humboldt-Tiobe National Forest. Last month, we went to the top of Mount Davidson and watched the sunset over the Sierras, and at the same time howled at the full moon as it rose over the Nevada landscape. Nevada is not just a desert, it's full of life, history, and beauty, and I think everyone should know how important it is to protect and enjoy these amazing places. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
That's awesome. All right. Now, that was amazing. You are a tremendous ambassador for Nevada, and also you have a future as a speechwriter here on Capitol Hill, okay? We always need improvement in the comm shop, so you can come help us, okay? Okay. I want to invite the Nevada congressional delegation and Lieutenant Governor Anthony and Mr. Austin and Chief Schultz for the lighting of the tree. Y'all join us up here.
Sick. Put your jacket on.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Okay, there you go, young man.
Beautiful.
Isn't that great?
Good job, Grady.
Oh, she's dead.
Well-
Thank you.
Okay. There you go.
There we go.
Now,
Careful, there's a step there.
Grady's going to do the honors for us, and everyone can count down with us. We're going to count down from 5. Okay,
Okay.
ready, everybody?
All right, Grady.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go.
All right, guys, we're going to end this a little bit early and take a 2-minute break. We've got more news on the other side. Welcome back. We're going to go to the cabinet meeting with President Trump and, of course, the entire cabinet. They touched on many different things, but one of the things that is headlining here is the Venezuelan boat strike. We'll get more information from the president now.
Nice to be with you. Welcome to the final cabinet meeting of 2025, a year that will go down as the most consequential and successful first year of any administration. They're saying that, not me. Oh, I say it too, actually, but a lot of people are saying it, and a lot of that is thanks to the men and women in the cabinet. The new and improved cabinet room, I might add. We took pictures down from the vaults. We have vaults downstairs with lots of pictures that haven't been exposed to the world for, in many cases, over 100 years. We brought them up, and we're using them as they should be used. But the cabinet room looks beautiful, like it should now. The Oval Office looks beautiful, like it should. It was not. It was like the rest of the country. It was in disrepair. 1 year ago, our country was dead, and said to me by many leaders, we had a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's true. The hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of that. In 4 long years of the Biden administration, there were just $1 trillion of new investments in the United States in 10 months. We've secured commitments of over $18 trillion. So they had, in 1 year, less than $1 trillion. That's in a period of 4 years. Think of it, 4 years they had less than $1 trillion. In 10 months we have more than $18 trillion. Is that right, Scott? It's even going to be higher than that.
It'll be higher by
and going up. And we're waiting for the Supreme Court case, and it's so important and so vital for this country because we're not only respected again, we're putting out wars by our trade policies, and we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, and our country is wealthy again and secure again, and it's part of national security, and I hope that goes well. I think it's very important, but when I think of the number, we're going to be over $18 trillion in 10 months, and which is a record times probably 8 or 10 times, I think more than that, for any country. There's never been a country that's had that kind of an investment ever in history. And there's never been a country that's had half of that. It's a tremendous thing that's taking place. We have companies moving in from all over the world, from Mexico, from Canada, from Europe, from China, from Japan a lot. We just had Toyota is going to spend $10 billion, they just announced, on building new plants in this country. Our workers, they're going to be all workers. But they're spending a tremendous amount. So the stock market has set 46 all-time highs. And this last Friday, which is called Black Friday, was the biggest ever online sales that there's ever been by a lot. More Americans are working today than at any time in the history of our country. I mean, these are the facts we have to get out. And, you know, there's this fake narrative that the Democrats talk about, affordability. They just say the word. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. Just say it. Affordability. I inherited the worst inflation in history. There was no affordability. Nobody could afford anything. The prices were massively high. Do you remember when we took over eggs? You did a great job on that, Madam Secretary. Agriculture, Brooke. Eggs were 4 or 5 times higher than they had ever been. They said don't order eggs for Easter at the White House. And we ended up doing it, and we got the egg prices way down, lower than what they were before. But the word affordability is a con job by the Democrats. They say affordable. I watched the other day where some very low IQ congresswoman talked about affordability. She had no idea. Their prices were much higher. As an example, energy, gasoline, we're now at about $2.50 a gallon. We're going to be, I think, at $2 a gallon. We could even crack that at some point. I'd love to do it. And we could do it more easily if we weren't building up the strategic national reserves, which Biden emptied out before the election so that he could try and get elected, meaning he started it, then he got thrown out of the race, and she took over and she kept it going, and they emptied out these strategic national reserves, which are really meant for something else. They're not meant to keep people happy with their gasoline price. They're meant for war. They're meant for problems, big problems. He emptied it out, and then she continued it during the process of trying to get elected. Didn't work out too well for him. And they virtually brought it down to the lowest level, I believe, in history. And it didn't have much of an impact because the prices were very high. But our prices now for energy, but for gasoline, are really low. Electricity's coming down. And when that comes down, everything comes down. But the word affordability is a Democrat scam. They say it, and then they go on to the next subject. And everyone thinks, oh, they had lower prices. No, they had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now, some people will correct me, because they always love to correct me, even though I'm right about everything. But some people like to correct me, and they say 48 years. I say it's not 48 years, it's much more. But they say it's the worst inflation that we've had in 48 years. I say ever. But whether it's 48 years or ever, it's pretty bad. We had the worst inflation that we've ever had. Since last January, we've stopped inflation in its tracks. And there is still more to do. There's always more to do, but we have it down to a very good level. It's going to go down a little bit further. You want to have a little tiny bit of inflation, otherwise that's not good either. Then you have a thing called deflation. And deflation can be worse than inflation. But we have it almost, we'll soon be at a perfect level, but we inherited the worst inflation. But we have 20 states that are now selling gasoline at less than the $2.75, think of that, $2.75, and it was at $5 under Sleepy Joe. Grocery prices are down with the cost of Thanksgiving turkey this year down 33%. It was lower than 33% lower than under the Biden administration. Egg prices are way down 86%, thank you. And mortgage rates, despite the fact that we have an incompetent chairman of the Fed, a real dope, who should reduce rates. I saw even Jamie Dimon said he should be reducing rates. I never saw Jamie Dimon say that. I wonder why he said that. But he really said it because he's right. But we have a guy that's just a stubborn ox who probably doesn't like your president, your favorite president. But they're going to be coming down. We'll be announcing somebody probably early next year for the new chairman of the Fed. I talked to Scott about taking the job, but he doesn't want it. You got the greatest job here.
Yes, sir.
Right? He said, no, I want to stay chairman. I want to stay right where we are, Treasury. And I think we're doing really great, aren't we? Huh?
We're doing great, sir, and it's a great team to be part of.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Under my executive order to lower prescription drug prices, which I think is the single biggest thing we've ever done that nobody writes about because you're fake news. I've made unprecedented deals along with Bobby and Oz and all of the people that work on it. A lot of people that you wouldn't even think work on it, but they do, to slash drug prices by 200%, 300%, 400%, 500%, 600%, 700%, 800%. Nobody's ever heard of it before because I instituted favored nations and no nation agreed to do it. And then I said to the nations, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to charge you 100% tariff, which is more money than we're talking about. And they said, sir, we'd love to do it. Please, we would be honored to do it. And they agreed that they would go along with the whole thing. Nobody thought you could do it because they felt, number one, you couldn't get the drug companies to do it. So we're paying, as an example, for the, let's go with the fat drug, F-A-T, for fat people. Anybody use it at the table? Don't ask. But the fat drug was $135. Think of that. For certain people, $1,300 for certain countries, $1,300 in New York. So in New York it was $1,300, and in London it was $135. And a friend of mine called me, he said, what is this? Why is it? He got used to paying $1,300. Well, now what we have it down to is, Bobby, what's the number? Like 150 or something? We have it down to a low number, don't we?
Yeah, it's around 100, 125, 150.
Think of that. So we got it down from $1,300 to $125 to $140, depending on various countries. In other words, we're paying the lowest price, tied for the lowest price in the world. And people said, you could never do that because you couldn't get the countries to agree to it. I did. Every country agreed to it because I said, if you're not going to agree to it, that's okay, I'm going to charge you tariffs. And as soon as I said that, they said, we agree. And then we had to be a little tough with the drug companies, but they came along. The bigger problem was the countries. The countries just wouldn't go along with it, but they did. Every country. So we have reduced drug prices by 500, 600, 700, 800, 900%, depending on the drug, depending on the company, depending on all of the different factors involved. Nobody's ever even thought of drug reductions like that, price reductions. And I told you the story that in my first term I was so proud of myself because I reduced drugs. It was the first time in 28 years that drug prices were reduced. It was 1/4%. 1/4%. And I was so proud of myself. I said, it's the first time in 28 years that drug prices went down over the course of a year, over the course of a presidency. 1 year, 1/4%. I had a news conference. I was so proud. Now I got them down, not 1/4%. I got them down 400, 500, 600% and more. And the fake news won't write about it. And it's going to have a huge impact on healthcare because a big part of it's buying drugs, buying prescription drugs. It's going to have a huge positive impact because Obamacare is a disaster. I said it years ago and I say it now. And the money should be paid, taken away from the insurance company. Obamacare was made to make the insurance companies rich. Their stocks have gone up 1,000% in a short period of time because the money goes to the insurance company. I want the money to go to the people. Let all the money go to the people. And let the people go out and buy their own health care. And I see on television, people are advertising now, we will help you buy health care. We will go out and help you buy. That's becoming like an industry because of what I said. So something's going to happen. It's probably not going to be easy because the Democrats, frankly, they don't want to make a good deal for the people. They just want to make a bad deal for the country. They want to make a bad deal for the Republican Party. But the Republican Party is united, and I will say that what I would like to do is the money doesn't go, trillions of dollars get paid to drug companies. And you still have lousy health care. Obamacare is horrible health care. We want it to go to the people and then let the people go out and buy their own health care, and they'll do great. They'll do great. So we're negotiating that now with the Democrats. Well, congressional Democrats want the largest tax hike in history. I proudly signed the largest tax cuts in American history with the Great Big Beautiful Bill. The Great Big Beautiful Bill, the biggest piece of legislation ever signed, and that includes the extension of the original Trump tax cuts. But it's the biggest tax cut ever signed, and it includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, so think of that. And in addition, you get, if you buy a car, this is great for our car industry because we have a lot of car plants. We're bringing back the automobile business. 60% of it was stolen because we had incompetent presidents or incompetent trade people. But 60% of it was stolen over the years, and now I think we're bringing it all back. I think we'll be bigger than we've ever been in the auto business. That's not even to mention AI, where we're leading China. You know, we're leading China by a lot. They're not going to catch us. We have to be smart, but if we're smart, they're not going to be able to catch us. They know that. They told me that. Next year is projected to be the largest.
We are going to take a quick 2-minute break, guys, and go back to the president as he speaks. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Thanks for joining us again here on WCNC Plus. We're going to go back to this president speaking inside his cabinet meeting.
Get in literally trillions of dollars, and we're going to be given a nice dividend to the people in addition to reducing debt. As you know, I inherited a lot of debt, but it's peanuts compared to the kind of numbers we're talking about. So we're going to be making a dividend to the people, and additionally, we're going to be able to reduce debt. And as time goes by over the next 2, 3, 4 years, those numbers are going to go up. And I believe that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay, because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous, that you're not going to have income tax to pay. Whether you get rid of it or just keep it around for fun or have it really low, much lower than it is now, but you won't be paying income tax. We've slashed $1 trillion in costly job-killing regulations, saving Americans an estimated $2,100 for a family of 4. The Biden administration was the exact opposite, but times 4. They went up $6,000. We went down $2,100. Think of that. To bring down energy, electricity, and utility prices, I ended the Green New Scam. They call it the Green New Scam, one of the greatest scams in the history of our country. They talked about global warming and all that crap, and what they've done to this country. What they've done by allowing 25 million people into our country, many of whom are criminals, many of whom 11,888 are murderers, and we have to get them out, and we're doing it. We're doing it. I think what the job that our law enforcement groups are doing, Christy, you and Tom and everybody, amazing. What you're doing is amazing. I terminated the insane electric vehicle mandate, and look, some people that make electric cars weren't happy with that. But we have to do that because you have to have a choice, whether it's a gasoline-powered car, and we have so much gasoline. You know, China doesn't have gasoline. We do. And whether it's a hybrid, which really are working really well, the combination of electric and gasoline-driven. But we, everybody was supposed to, by 2030, everybody had to own an electric car under the Biden stupidity. And not everybody wants to do that. I like electric cars. I like all cars. They're all good. They all have reasons. But you want to be able to go and buy what you want. I imposed historic tariffs that are now bringing in so much money that nobody's ever seen anything like it. And countries that were ripping us off, including allies, but they were ripping us off for years. I won't use the names. I won't mention Japan. I refuse to mention South Korea. I will not mention names. But they were ripping us off like nobody's ever been ripped off before, and taking horrible advantage of your country. But now we're making a lot of money. We're making a lot of money because of the tariffs that are pouring in. And it's really national security. Among everything else, it's national security. We've also rapidly turned the worst border crisis in world history. I believe we had the worst border ever in history. I don't care if you had a fourth world country. You know, we allow third world country in. We would allow fourth world war countries in also. It doesn't matter. There was never a border that was as bad as our border. We allowed anybody in with no checks, no vetting. So we've rapidly turned the worst border crisis in world history into the strongest border in the history of our country, and probably one of the strongest borders in the history of the world, because we have nobody coming through. And I want to thank our people. The Border Patrol is so amazing, ICE, and I want to thank the military for the backup, because they're standing right behind them. And that was really nasty for a period of months, and now it's no longer nasty. Now they don't even come up. Nobody comes up. It's an easy job. It made your job a lot easier because they know they're not going to get through. And we take people in, but they have to come in legally. For 6 months in a row, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted into the United States. You believe that? 0. We had millions of people coming in a year, millions. Now we have 0 for 6 months, and these are given by radical left people that do the numbers. I mean, they're not doing them any favor. They're being we don't have our net numbers are unbelievable. But we had 0 people in the last 6 months. Illegal border crossings along the U.S.-Mexico border have plummeted to the lowest level ever recorded. And nobody talks about that anymore. You know, it's crazy. They don't talk about it. You think they'd say, well, Trump's done a great job in the border. This country is being destroyed by the border. But you always find something new, like, is he in good health? Biden was great, but is Trump in good health? I sit here, I do 4 news conferences a day. I ask questions from very intelligent lunatics, you people. And I give the right answers. There's never a scandal, there's never a problem. I give you answers that solve your little problems. You go back and you can't find anything, but you do stories about Biden was in wonderful health. The guy didn't do a news conference for 8 months. If I go one day, I had one day where I didn't do a news conference, there's something wrong with the president. You people are crazy. I'll let you know when there's something wrong. There will be someday. That's going to happen to all of us. But right now, I think I'm sharper than I was 25 years ago. But who the hell knows? By the way, I took my physical. I got all A's, everything. But they said to me, would you like to take a cognitive test? I said, is it hard? They said, yes. I said, well, I'm a very smart person. Who was the last president to take one? No president has ever agreed to take one. Because when you get into the mid-questions, meaning, 10, question number 10, 11, 12, 28, 30, they get harder and harder. And they said, would you like to do it? I said, well, no reason to do it. Nobody's ever done it. I'll do it maybe, but there's really no reason. They said, sir, the problem is this is Walter Reed Hospital. And that's a military hospital. And that means that things are, sort of open. It's not like private where you have, if you do poorly, we'll have to, probably you'll find out. I said, I won't do poorly. I'm a smart person, not a stupid person. And as the doctor will tell you, I aced it. Right, Susie? I aced. I got every question right. And these are tough questions. These are questions that I would say 99% of the people that I'm talking to right now, meaning the people from the fake news, would not do well in those exams. But I'm the only one that took it. I got every single question right. And then I read in the New York Times, is Trump sharp? Trump is sharp, but they're not sharp. That's why they're going out of business, the New York Times. I hear that they're losing so much money, it's ridiculous. They're a bunch of fakers. But we can never let another thing happen like what happened to us with a fake election, with a rigged election, where a guy like Joe Biden assumes the presidency, because the man was grossly incompetent. And he was incompetent 30 years ago. But he was really incompetent for those last few years, and our country was put at great danger because of it. So for 6 months in a row, we had 0 people. Illegal border crossings along the U.S.-Mexico border have plummeted to the lowest level ever, ever, ever. Think of that. And the net benefit to our country is enormous, incalculable. America is strong and respected again. On the world stage, we're really respected. In fact, I went to a NATO and they were calling me the president of Europe. We're doing very well. We have a lot of respect. As you know, we have a problem with a war that our people are trying to settle now with Russia and Ukraine. We are not involved in the war monetarily anymore. Biden gave away $350 billion like it was candy. That's a massive amount of money. And much of it in cash, a lot of it in equipment. I don't give away anything. We sell the equipment to NATO. The European nations pay us for the equipment, 100% price. And then they bring it to Ukraine or whatever they do with it. But we're trying to get that settled. I've settled 8 wars. This would be the 9th. And our people are over in Russia right now to see if we can get it settled. Not an easy situation. Let me tell you what a mess. It's a war that never would have happened if I were president. Not even a chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. We've renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War, and I thought that would be controversial. And frankly, I tell you what, I haven't met one person, there's not one person I've met that doesn't like it. You know, think of it. We won World War I, World War II, everything in between, everything before it. And then we said, let's change the name. So we changed it back to what it was, Department of War, and Pete's doing a great job. We ended 8 wars, think of that. 8 wars, but we're going to do one more, I think. I hope. Every time I end a war, they say, if President Trump ends that war, he's going to get the Nobel Prize. If I end that war. Well, he won't get it for that war, but if he ever gets it for the next war, now they're saying, if he ever ends the war with Russia and Ukraine, he's going to get the Nobel Prize. What about the other 8 wars? India, Pakistan. Think of all the wars I ended. I should get the Nobel Prize for every war, but I don't want to be greedy. Actually, the woman who got the Nobel Prize said, "You've got to be kidding. Trump deserves the Nobel Prize." So that was very nice of her. I appreciate it, which is true, actually. But I don't care about that. You know what I care about? I care about death. I care about all the people that are dying. And last month, 27,000 young people died, mostly young people, mostly soldiers, despite some missiles being shot into Kiev and other places. But think of it, mostly young people. 27,000 people died between Russia and Ukraine last month. What a shame. So we're restoring law and order to our cities and towns. If you look at what's happened, and I want to pay my deepest respects to those 2 incredible people from the National Guard in West Virginia they came from. I spoke to their parents. Sarah is gone. She passed away. She's looking down on us now, and she loves her parents, and they loved her. They were. Somebody said, "How are they doing?" I said, "The word is devastated." Doing. How are they going to do? They're devastated. The rest of their lives they're going to be devastated. She was an incredible person, highly respected, top of her class, everything. She was like a perfect human being. 20 years old, just started. She was like a baby. She was so proud. They were giving her a promotion, and she told the parents that she was getting a promotion, and they were so proud of her. Then they get a call that this happened. And we have one young man who's fighting for his life. He's fighting very hard. I think he's probably doing better than anybody. And they said he didn't have a chance. I'll tell you, the one who said he's going to live is his mother. I spoke to his mother. "Sir, he's going to live." I spoke to her very soon after this horrible event took place with this scum that is able to come into our country. I spoke to his mother. "Sir, he's going to be okay. I'm telling you." No doctor thought that. Nobody thought that. He was hitting bad places, and she was like so positive. It was incredible. And it's possibly right, Pam, right? Possibly right. Boy, it would be amazing. If he lives, it would be amazing. A miracle, actually. But we're very proud of those 2 people. We're very proud of the National Guard. We're very proud of our military and our police and our firemen and women. If you go back and take a look a year ago, year and a half ago, it all changed, I think, on November 5th, the day of the election. But you go back before that, you couldn't get people to join the military, Pete, right? They didn't want anything to do with military. They wanted nothing to do with joining the police or the fire. They wanted nothing to do with anything. They had no spirit. The country it had no spirit, nothing. And now we just had the highest recruitment in history, and we're getting great people. We're getting great people. And I will say, despite what just happened, Washington, D.C. has become a really safe place. And I guess this lunatic probably was upset that the National Guard is so effective, because we were really, really effective, and we are. And Washington, D.C. is now considered a very, very safe city. We had crime numbers a year ago that was so bad, embarrassment that the city, the capital of this country, could have numbers like that. And Washington now is, no murders, no this. It's been a miracle also what happened here. And now we're in Memphis, and we're going to New Orleans pretty soon. Over there, the governor called me. He'd like to have us go there. Governor Landry, great guy, great governor. He's asked for help in New Orleans, and we're going to go there in a couple of weeks. And we're doing a real job. Even Chicago's down a little bit because we have a minor force there. We could knock it down within 4 or 5 weeks. We could bring it down to almost nothing. But we have a governor that's grossly incompetent, and we have a mayor that's even more incompetent than the governor. He's a very low IQ person. And typically low IQ people don't make good mayors. So I want to thank all of our cabinet members. They're high IQ. Let me see one. Yeah, generally speaking, a couple I'm a little concerned about. No, but I want to thank, we have a great cabinet, an amazing cabinet, amazing people. All of them, sort of have become stars. We're getting credit for the good cabinet, actually. And I just want to wish everybody a great holiday. We've I think, done a great job with the White House, bringing the White House back. You see the Palm Court that was redone. The Lincoln bedroom was redone. The Lincoln bathroom is now gorgeous, like it should have been. It was terrible green tile that was never the way it was supposed to be. It was done in the 1940s, actually, but it was not proper. And we're restoring the White House just like we're restoring the country, and people are thrilled. But the First Lady's done a beautiful job with the Christmas trees and all the decorations. I see the wreaths on the windows. I've never seen that before, on the windows of the White House. And it's 4 stories high. I said, how did they get that wreath? They had people going up in a little dangerous. I wouldn't want to do it. But they put them up, and we have wonderful people working in the White House, and they're really proud to bring the building back. Because this building was a little bit like the country. It was mishandled. It was mistreated. And now it's being given love. And we're building one of the great, I think, maybe the greatest ballroom. We needed it for 150 years. They've been asking. You see the trucks and cranes and excavators in the background. And you hear them, and every time I hear them, I love the sound. To me, I love the sound. I wouldn't say my wife is thrilled. She hears pile drivers in the background all day, all night. They go till 12 o'clock in the evening, day, night, pile drivers. Darling, could you turn off the pile drivers? I'm sorry, darling, that's progress. But no, we're doing great. It's going to be I think it's going to be the finest ballroom ever built, and we're going to have it here. They've wanted it for 150 years, think of that. So I will just end by saying I want to thank the cabinet. It's been a great cabinet. Let's think of it. Time flies, but this is our last of the year, as I said, and I just think you've done a fantastic job. And we're going to go around the room. We'll go quickly, but we're going to go around the room, and we'll start with Pete. And you'll tell us about some of the achievements. And some of you have achievements that are so big, I don't want you to go through the whole thing because we're not done. But we'll start with Pete, and then if you want, we'll take some questions at the end. Please, Pete.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. As you said, it has been a historic year at the Department of War. Recruiting and retention over this year are at the most historic levels our country has ever seen. When I had a chance to be on an aircraft carrier destroyer over Thanksgiving, the spirit in our ranks since the election under President Trump is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like it as a soldier myself in uniform, and I know a lot of you feel the same way. We've ripped out the DEI and the political correctness. It's all merit-based at the department. We're getting back to basics: accountability, training, readiness, lethality, and that's reviving that spirit. And Mr. President, we're rebuilding the military, historic investments. I just took briefings on the Golden Dome and F-47, next generation capabilities that are going to make sure that for generations to come, America has the most powerful, most capable, most lethal military in the world, which you have rebuilt once and we're rebuilding again. And then we're reestablishing deterrence and credibility. If you look at what happened, we deal with every day the outcome of what happened in Afghanistan, the debacle under Joe Biden. We just dealt with it in the streets of Washington, D.C. with those 2 National Guardsmen. And then what happened on October 7th with Hamas, what happened in Ukraine, a war that never would have started under President Trump. We're having to rebuild that. So whether it's freedom of navigation and taking the fight to the Houthis, whether it's Midnight Hammer, those beautiful B-2s going 37 hours back and forth, undetected, delivering with precision, and Iran not getting nuclear capabilities, Europe and NATO stepping up to 5%, locking down our southwest border. It's been an honor to work with Christy and Tom and everyone else down there to lock it to 0, operational control of our border. And then it's getting after and going after narco-terrorists and designated terrorist organizations in our own hemisphere. As I've said, And I'll say again, we've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves and allowed them to come across the border. Cartels take over community, 20 million people, hundreds of thousands of Americans poisoned. And President Trump said, no, we're taking the gloves off. We're taking the fight to these designated terror organizations, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we're stopping the drugs, we're striking the boats, we're defeating narco terrorists, and we're standing...
And Peter, you may say one thing, that drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%. And I don't know who the 9% is.
I'm not sure either, sir.
But down 91% by sea.
We've had a bit of a pause because it's hard to find boats to strike right now, which is the entire point, right? Deterrence has to matter, not arrest and hand over and then do it again, the rinse and repeat approach of previous administrations. This is meant to get after that approach. And I will just end by saying, as President Trump always has our back, we always have the back of our commanders who are making decisions in difficult situations, and we do in this case and all these strikes. They're making judgment calls and ensuring that they defend the American people. They've done the right things. We'll keep doing that, and we have their backs, Mr. President.
Good job. Thank you very much. Howard?
So we set out to stop the ripoff of the United States of America. This is about global change of trade. We've been ripped off since 1945 when we set this policy. So we set out, and together with my partners, Jameson Greer and Scott Bessent, we set out to change that. So we started, the first one was the UK deal, right? We asymmetric. They pay us 10%, and we get charged nothing. That allows us to export, and that began the process. Then we did the biggest, the European Union, 450 million people, $20 trillion economy. They completely opened their borders to us, and we charge them 15%. That makes America $100 billion a year and turns it back to where our economy is the best. And so it proved that President Trump's trade agenda was the right trade agenda. Then we go to Japan and Korea. They offer us $750 billion in cash to build in America at the president's direction. And we're going to start, as an example, nuclear. Right? We need to have a nuclear arsenal in America of power, the generation of power. So we're going to build hundreds of billions of dollars, financed by the Japanese and the Koreans, meaning they give us the money, we build it here, and we split the cash flow 50-50. We're going to build ships, $150 billion worth of ships in America. That changes the way things work. Right? After those trade deals, then you go to how are we going to reshore? Right? Let's start talking about the auto industry, right? We've been competed against by Koreans, the Japanese, the Europeans. We're kicking our tail. President Trump changed it. 25% tariffs, bring it all home. This year, General Motors stock up 40%, Ford up 34%, and on the same day that we announced we had set all the tariffs, Sean Fain, the head of the United Auto Workers, called and said, I can't believe I'm calling a Republican Secretary of Commerce to tell the president that this is the greatest administration for auto workers in America. Stocks up and auto workers up. That proves that President Trump understands how to take care of the whole ecosystem, both the companies and, more importantly, the people who work there. Semiconductors, right? We didn't build any. The Biden CHIPS Act was a $60 billion giveaway, right? We've now turned that. $300 billion is committed to America. That's going to go up to $750 billion in the next 60 days, right? And then you go to pharmaceuticals, right? $250 billion being invested in America, and then working together with Bobby Kennedy, right? Pounding away on that MFN, working together as a joint team. They're coming to over $250 billion and cutting prices in half. We did the golden share of U.S. Steel to make sure the Mon Valley is protected. Intel gave us 10% of the company, make tens of billions of dollars, right? And the last thing I will say is a year ago today, I was working on transition with President Trump, right? To build the greatest cabinet ever for the greatest president ever. And I, as I sit here today, I can't be more proud of how you did it, sir. You've created the greatest cabinet. It is a joy to be at this table.
You know, one thing we will mention, so they came to see me from Intel, and they had a problem. I said, look, we'll fix your problem, but I think the United States is entitled to 10% of your company. And the chairman looked at me and he goes, you have a deal. Tell him, how much money have we made since I made that deal?
It's only $40 billion.
$40 billion. We made $40 billion. That was, what, 3 months ago? Does anybody write about it? Nobody writes about it. That's okay. Mr. Secretary, how we doing with transportation?
Well, Mr. President, so just quickly on aviation, many of you heard that we have an infrastructure made of copper. We have to transition to fiber. The last administration said it was going to take more than 10 years to complete the transition from copper to fiber. They had no plan to actually do it. We have already completed a third of this transition from copper to fiber. Now it's going to take longer for us to go from analog to digital. By the way, the rest of the world transitioned 20 years ago from analog to digital. We are just going to do that at the FAA right now, but we're buying new radios. We're going to buy new radar. By the way, those radar are going to be made in America, Mr. President. This phase of the operation will be completed by the time you leave office. It's 3 years. I do need another $20 billion, Congress, to start the second phase, which is really important, and we'll try to get that done also in that 3-year time period, but we need the money, critically important. With regard to commercial driver's license, I think we've covered a lot the crashes that have taken place around the country. And what we found is there have been states that have issued commercial driver's license to foreigners, and they've gone through sham schools, and they're not safe on American roadways. And so, in partnership with Secretary Noem, we have driven those numbers down. We've got California, Gavin Newsom, to revoke 17,000 unlawfully issued licenses. We've closed down half of the fake schools that give out these fake licenses, all critically important. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota gave 33% of these licenses unlawfully. People that should never have a driver's license driving a big rig on American roads, endangering the American people, shameful. We've cleaned up Union Station here in D.C. per your directive. We're going to rebuild Penn Station in New York. We're going to break ground at the end of 2027, get that project operational. And, you know, Mr. President, a lot of us, I fly commercially, I fly back by the bathrooms. I don't know why that happens. They put me in the back. But, you know, we've asked Americans to bring their better selves, to bring civility back to travel, to say, listen, let's say please and thank you. And if you have someone's pregnant on your flight and you're as strong as Pete is, well, pick up the bag and help her put it in the overhead bin. Let's be nice to each other, is what we've asked. Maybe not wear pajamas or slippers on the airplane. And I think it's been received fairly well, and I think we can all have a better travel experience when we do that. And just the last point I'll make is there was a big football game where the Merchant Marine Academy that falls under DOT actually beat the Coast Guard with Kristi Noem. We beat them by 1 point, and so we're very proud of that. And, so well done, Kings Pointers.
So a little bit in a nutshell, we're rebuilding the air traffic control. Under boot edge. It's supposed to be boot edge. Who's another grossly incompetent person? He'd get in his bicycle, ride to work, and he was just terrible. What they do is they take the fiber optics and they take fiber, trying to hook it into copper, and fiber and copper don't mix. You can't do it, but people knew that for the last 30 years since they started doing the fiber. And they spent billions of dollars, and it didn't work. And you saw that by the helicopter crash. You saw that by Into the Plane. You saw that by a lot of things. So we're doing a brand new air traffic control system, and it's going to be the best, and it's going to be from top to bottom. And we have the 3 top companies in the world bidding on it. And it's going to be one bid, and we're going to have one company responsible, and it'll be the best system. And it's going to make this. Look, our skies are safe. Otherwise, we wouldn't let people fly. But we're going to have the safest skies. We're going to have the best system anywhere in the world. We're also going to rebuild Dulles Airport because it's not a good airport. It should be a great airport, and it's not a good airport at all. It's a terrible airport. It was incorrectly designed with a good building. Actually, it's got a beautiful terminal. Saarinen was the architect, one of the greatest architects in the world at the time, a great architect. And so they have a great building and a bad airport. But we're going to turn that around, and we're going to make Dulles Airport, serving Washington and Virginia, Maryland, etc. We're going to make that into something really spectacular. We have an amazing plan for it, and other things. But you're doing a really good job. I appreciate it.
The people movers of Dulles, we had a crash recently, so we're going to announce that later today. A request for bids on this, but again, it's a not a great airport, which we can make great in this administration, Mr. President.
We have a design that's amazing for Dulles. It's going to take Dulles and make it a really bad. It was a badly designed airport. We're going to make it into as good as there is in the country. It'll be exciting. Okay, please.
All right. Well, Mr. President, it's good to be here at this meeting because in 1 year you can look around the table and see the change. And I think one of the biggest changes is how this cabinet works together. And I want to start.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll have more news right after this. Well, after Charlotte was the target for immigration enforcement operations less than a week ago, we now know the Trump administration is setting their sights on Minneapolis and St. Paul, and we know that there's a large Somalian population there. So we're going to go to this press conference from Minneapolis right now as they talk more about those actions.
A peaceful protest so that we can do our part as well to help be a stabilizing influence. And that's sort of what I was talking about when I said, we have to do the opposite of what they're doing. Sadly, we live in an era where we have to find all of our ways, whether that's community members, whether that's protesters, whether that's elected leaders, whether that's our brothers and sisters in uniform. We all have to find ways to help stabilize things that it feels like our federal government and our president of the United States are intentionally destabilizing. Yes, we need our officers to be helpful to be stabilizing presence in those spaces and in all of our spaces in our community. Thank you.
Do officials in each city currently have an open line of dialogue with the Department of Homeland Security just to get a basic sense of what you are responding to when the police does in fact end up going to these scenes? Or are you essentially showing up blind at a chaotic confrontation?
Can you repeat the question?
I will.
Yes.
Yep. So the question, Ernesto's question was, do officials in our city have communication with the Department of Homeland Security so that when these large-scale raids happen, we're not going in blind? So we do work with federal law enforcement literally every day around violent crime, around people smuggling fentanyl into the country, gang violence, those types of things. That is a part of our job. But our officers that do work with federal law enforcement have very clear directives, and federal law enforcement is aware that we absolutely will have nothing to do with anything related to immigration enforcement. So as you are aware, the one instance that we've had in this city, we were caught by surprise because of that. But yes, on a day-to-day basis, we are still working with federal law enforcement to prosecute people that are carjacking people in this city, that are involved in gang violence, that are involved in smuggling drugs and shooting people. That still happens. But no, there is no communication around immigration enforcement.
Chief, what preparations are you making, and what are you telling officers? Are you having have a riot gear at the ready just in case things get out of hand? And what have you been telling your officers in those roll calls that you
So the last 24 hours, I had the entire command staff with me, all of the chiefs at roll call, the leaders from our consent decree implementation unit present, as well as our officers that deal with response to large-scale incidents. So basically what I do is I have the consent decree implementation unit go over the city and the police department's policy around immigration enforcement to ensure everyone is abundantly clear where the guardrails are, and to talk about additional guidance that is coming out. Additionally, we have our folks talk about, from a tactical perspective, obviously because we're not going to get involved in legitimate First Amendment activity, but if something becomes a life-threatening emergency with a large crowd, ensuring that there is a plan beforehand, ensuring that our officers are aware that, oftentimes there's multiple agencies involved in these things, and we're finding out after the fact, ensuring that our officers are aware that they're only going to take orders from people appointed over them in the Minneapolis Police Department, and ensuring that there is a plan if we do have to rescue a person who may be injured or anything like that, that there is a plan to get in and get out as safely as possible. We will not automatically respond just because someone has called and asking for assistance. But if something is an emergency, there is no time to talk about and have it go up the chain of command and say, are we going to respond? But, things unfold very quickly, and we will do our sworn duty to respond to protect life when it's needed.
You've got time for about two more questions.
Mayor Fry, you described it as a when, not an if, that ICE will be breaking the law when they engage in this operation targeting the Somali community. What tangible action can the city of Minneapolis, can the police department take to actually protect people who have every legal right to be here and to hold ICE agents accountable if, as you described it, they do break the law?
I'll start by noting that all of this is based on reports that have come out recently from the media. If, in fact, those reports are accurate, and there are 100 federal immigration agents that will be deployed upon Minneapolis and St. Paul specifically with the intention of targeting our Somali community, they're going to run into all sorts of constitutional impossibility that they can't begin to comprehend. Again, there's more than 80,000 Somali people that live in the state of Minnesota. A very tiny portion of them aren't citizens. In other words, the vast majority, almost all of the Somali people that are here in Minnesota and in Minneapolis are citizens. I feel that it will be a practical inevitability that when people are arrested by federal immigration agents, they're going to get the wrong people. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to screw it up so badly that they're not just violating habeas corpus, but they are taking away the rights of American citizens. I've heard recently some of the comments that Donald Trump has made. I've heard commentary that a number of people around this country are making about our Somali community as a whole, holding them at fault for the actions of a few. The perpetrators of any form of crime should be held accountable in the United States, regardless of what ethnicity, religion, or background you come from, period. And whole communities aren't then held accountable, though, for the actions of a few. I'm Jewish, but when Bernie Madoff was committing all sorts of financial crimes, nobody held me accountable for them. I don't know if Ted Kaczynski is Polish or not, but regardless, if he is, nobody held a whole bunch of Polish people accountable for what Ted Kaczynski did. I could give 13 more examples. But the bottom line is that we have a justice system in this country, and this justice system relies on due process. It's a justice system that we abide by. We have a constitution in this country. And for those that claim to be constitutional scholars, you can't throw that constitution out when it doesn't benefit your interest or doesn't hate on the groups that you hate. That's what we're seeing a lot of right now. Yeah, I'm going to have the chief say one thing, and we'll take one more question then.
I just wanted to add one point onto the original question around community and fears that things may be unlawful. We have experienced reports in this city, and I'm sure in St. Paul also, where people call to say that there's folks that are masked, that they're not sure if they're law enforcement, that they may be kidnapping people. Like, we have had those reports. I want to be clear to the community. The community should know that if you see something like that, that is legitimate, that you don't know if someone is law enforcement, you should call 911. And you should provide as much information as possible, because let's not forget, we very recently had tragedy in this state by someone who was purporting to be law enforcement. So please, let's be clear. That's something everyone should report, and that we will immediately respond to, and we will document, whether it's somebody's not sure if there's a kidnapping happening, somebody's not sure if that there's law enforcement present or not. And that's something else that's additional policy requirements that we are implementing, that we will document and report these types of things anytime that we hear it, and reminding our officers of their duty to intervene. So if there is anything that is a violation of someone's human rights or civil rights, excessive force or anything like that, they absolutely have a duty to intervene as police officers.
Okay, one more question. One more question from someone who has not asked a question yet.
Right here.
Thank you.
This is for Mayor Fry and also Councilman Osmond. We just heard the president say that he doesn't want Somalis in the U.S. and wants them to go back to their homeland. What's your response directly to him?
He's wrong, and we want them here. Somali people have been an extraordinary benefit. I'll say it again. Somali people have been a benefit to our city for longer than I have been in our city. They have started businesses and created jobs. They have added to the cultural fabric of what Minneapolis is. They were welcoming to me when I first came out to Minneapolis. In fact, they were one of the first groups that I myself got to know. To, again, villainize an entire group is ridiculous under any circumstances. And the way that Donald Trump is consistently doing it, I think calls into question major constitutional violations. And it certainly violates the moral fabric of what we stand by in this country as Americans. Councilmember Osmond, I'm sure you can add a bit more.
Somali Americans, Somalis are here to stay. America is an immigrant country. It has been an immigrant country for over how many years? Hundreds of years. Our community contribute a lot to this state and the city. We love this city. This is home. We're not going anywhere. Call the American people to stop the hate, to stop the Donald Trump hate. He continue to divide Americans. That's what he's doing. Like I say, it's time to stand up against his hate and unite. Somalis are here to stay. We love this state. We love this country. This is home. Thank you.
No, I'd actually like to respond to that as well. The words that founded this country, the words that launched this American experience, start with "we the people." And
I believe that the sacred moments in American history are the moments we've had to decide who the we is. Who gets to be included in the we? Do we mean black people? Do we mean women? Do we mean immigrants? Do we mean gay and lesbian teenagers? We have to decide who is a part of the we when we say we the people. We the people. And the Constitution of the United States, the Declaration of Independence, says that the authority, the just power of our government, the just power of those federal agents, the just power of our police officers, that authority is granted by the consent of the governed. And so when we talk about attacks, racist, Islamophobic, xenophobic attacks on our Somali community, and you combine that with what Mayor Frye just said, the vast majority of our Somali community are citizens. So who he just attacked isn't just Somalis. Who he attacked is Somali Americans. Who he attacked is Americans. And so if the President of the United States is telling you out loud that he hates Americans, then I can't imagine a greater confession of incompetence to do the job that you've been hired to do than to say you don't believe that Americans belong in America. That's what Donald Trump said to us today, and it's very important for us to understand that that was not just an attack on our Somali community, it was an attack on our Somali community, and everything Mayor Frye and Councilman Osmond said is important. But it's easy to sit at home and say, oh, he's attacking them. He's attacking Americans, American citizens, American residents, American neighbors. They're destabilizing communities and trying to get us to be afraid of somebody because of what they look like. And as Mayor Frye said, it's probable that there will be constitutional abuses. It's not probable. It's what they're saying. They are saying they target people based on how they look. Now, all of us grew up in classes that taught us that that's wrong, and it's still wrong today. So what you heard the president say today was that he is incompetent and incapable of being a president for the people of the United States because he just said out loud that he despises Americans. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. All right, I've got some housekeeping stuff as soon as they leave. You just hold one sec. Okay, so if you have any questions, please send them to communications, that's with an S, communications, at minneapolismn.gov. Our website will have information on it, minneapolismn.gov/federal. minneapolismn.gov/federal. And I'll stay up here if anybody has any questions one off, but I'll probably have you send those to our communications inbox. All right, thanks everyone.
Great. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break after that presser. We'll be back after this. All right, everyone, welcome back. We're going to go back to this cabinet meeting with the president right now.
I found out some things this year that I didn't know, that the Department of what was Defense, now Department of War, and the Veterans Department had never really communicated. Now, we're fraternal twins, in a way. Pete and I are. He lifts better, I'm better looking. But in looking at this, I mean, he brings them in. He keeps them for a number of years, up to 20 or longer, and then they come in to what the country is committed to our veterans. And if you don't have both ends working correctly, then recruitment lags, morale lags, and we've been able to work and fix a great deal of that. I didn't need to change our name, but I did do one thing. I put the veteran back first at the VA. And we did that in 1 year. How did we do that? We started taking things that have been neglected for a long time and put them back. We had a backlog in which we've dropped over 160,000. We're not talking year-to-year change at the VA. We're talking 5-6 years. We have to go back 5 to 6 year prior COVID numbers to see the change of backlogs that are now reduced. We do it in 6 months instead of the long time it took. In fact, it grew under the Biden administration. It shrank over 160,000 under us. Champ VA, which is a program we have, it's basically been back to day to day. It was at a terrible state, which delays in claims and everything's going on. We got that back. We're doing things like taking a new look. I have one question that I ask when I go to my hospitals, which by the way, over 170 hospitals, 1,200 clinics, and I ask the people one thing, Mr. President. I said, what are you doing right now that if you were just honest and I wasn't standing here, you say, this is stupid? It's been amazing what we've gotten, and the feedback that we've had. We've been able to change how we do credentialing, how we do privileging, how we do hiring. We're all working through that, and it has all made a difference for our veterans as we go forward. CNP exams for veterans out there listening. If this is the one where disability claims, where they say, well, let me send you to a doctor to make sure. Most of the time we have that already in the record. We're working now to where those could actually be changed, where we just look at the record and not have to send them to the doctor. That's almost a $3 billion savings that we can let, and also not taking what the veterans get. We're also getting ready to announce here pretty soon a reorganization that's going to bring our hospital system organizationally in line with the 21st century. We are the largest healthcare organization. It's about time we acted like it, Mr. President. You gave that leadership, and we're going to do it. And also one thing, community care contracts getting ready to go out. It's one of the largest contracts in the federal government, but it does exactly what you and I have talked about before, making sure that our veterans can get care in the system or in the community, wherever they want it. We're getting ready for that. Now, I have one thing for all the press who really enjoyed the first of the year, saying, oh, you know, they're going to cut all these jobs, 80,000 this, 80,000 that, the VA. Mr. President, every success that I just gave you came after the fact, or pretty much after the fact, that we had 30,000 take early retirement. Early retirement, no risk, although you reported it as loss and risk, you can't help yourself. 30,000 took a retirement. Every bit of the success that I just told you about came with a reduced workforce. It was a motivated workforce that said, how can we take care of veterans? That's what this cabinet does. That's what we're doing for you, Mr. President.
And you've got the highest approval rating we've ever had at the VA, so that tells you something. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Jameson, please.
Well, there's been some activity on trade this year. You know, for about 75 years, we had a system, global trading system, that was premised on the United States having totally open borders, right? Not just on immigration, but on goods and services, and everyone else generally kept higher tariffs, higher non-tariff barriers, etc. Obviously, the outcome was we had a huge trade deficit. You took it head on. You gave all of us who work on the file a lot of leverage. So we spent the past, 10 months or whatever we've been doing now, just going around the world and flipping the script. So now we're in a situation where we've protected our industries, we have the tariffs, and the other countries have decided to take their tariffs down and non-tariff barriers. And we've done it in a very constructive way. We've achieved agreements on reciprocal trade, which are a new kind of trade agreement that's really focused on making sure we have balanced trade, we have reciprocal trade, that we're treating each other fairly. And it's been embraced by the international community. And it's going to be exciting to see what it's like 5 years, 10 years from now, because you've changed it. And that's how it's going to be now. And I think you should be commended for it, and we look forward to seeing what comes in the next few years.
Thank you very much. You're doing great. He's doing a great job. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last time I was here, I said that the amount of dereg that we had for regulatory was 30-1. Since then, it's up to 48-1. Your goal had been 10-1, which was in excess of 6-1 in the first term. It's actually much higher than that, but I made my team redo the threshold a little bit because it sounded so unbelievable. But the amount of work that's being done with this entire team is astronomical. And another detail in that is that when we propose a rule, some of the biggest ones that you care the most about don't go into that count until they are finalized. So next year's we should be even more eye-popping. One of those to talk about is the federal acquisitions regulations, which you gave us a charge 6 months ago to dramatically reduce. In 6 months, we've lowered it by 25%, 500 pages, 2,700 mandates, which is a third of the mandates. That's going to lead to savings, competition, and speed. So probably $40 billion for the agencies in savings over the course of 10 years. When we get up and running, it'll be north of between $200 and $400 billion. Competition, about 45% of government bids only have one bidder. So you got no competition in that situation. That will now change, and then we're just getting faster, months, and hopefully we turn it into years, which means you all around this table can buy things that you need quickly, and that you have better vendors to come, many of them small businesses who want to participate in the federal procurement process. So making all sorts of improvements on that front is very exciting. Thank you, Mr. President.
That's great, and great on the regulations. We're cutting them at levels never seen before. And I have the record from the first 4 years, but we're blowing that record away, so it's been really great. Good. Scott?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Great to be with everyone. And you know, when you were giving your report, which was fantastic, and I listened to the report of all my colleagues here and those that will come, it reminds me when I played in the NFL, we had this thing called game film. You know all about film. And we had a saying that said, the film don't lie. The film tells a real story. And I hope that the American people, when they watch the film that's going on now in this time in our history, that they will see that America is greater today than it ever has been. And so I thank you for that. And thank you for giving us good stories that we can tell for the American people.
Scott, we're saving our country.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I don't want to be braggadocious. We're saving our country. Our country was going down and would never have been able to come back. We're saving all of us, but we're saving our country. All right, go ahead.
So at Housing and Urban Development, in keeping with your executive order, sir, in making America's streets safe and beautiful again, we've been very intentional about making public housing in our country safe. And I want people to know, our colleagues know this, but people in America know that we actually care about people that live in public housing around our country. A lot of public housing is wrought with crime, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, illicit drugs, illegal aliens living in public housing, but we've put them on notice to let you know that it's not lost on us. We care about the people, we're paying attention to it, and we're going to root out crime in public housing. We've been very focused on working with the Memphis Safe Task Force, the DC Safe and Beautiful Task Force, working with Pam and Chrissy and others, and law enforcement. Our law enforcement is tremendous. Every single night they go out and they go to public housing to make sure that our people are safe, mothers and children are safe. And so at HUD, you know, it's a different day. We're running new plays. The film was real bad when I came in, I'm gonna be honest. But we are giving the people that live in public housing the assurance that they will be safe. And we also announced a new crime hotline, sir, that people that live in public housing, if they see criminal activity, if they see illegals living there, if they see drug trafficking, if you see it, if you hear it, report it. Don't be afraid. And so work with our Office of Inspector General. We've set up this crime hotline, and also working with Chrissy and Department of Homeland Security, making sure that everyone that lives inside of public housing is accounted for and that they are American people. And so I say that and I emphasize that to know that we prioritize American people and American people only. Lastly, sir, in Atlantic City, we took over the Atlantic City public housing because the living conditions were deplorable. And they have people that have been living there for 3 generations and they were being treated very bad. And so I took it so that we can now give people a safe place to stay. And working with the First Lady in the Foster Youth Initiative has been a great joy for me and our team. So thank you for doing that executive order to make sure that our foster youth have a safe landing pad and have financial literacy as they age out of the foster youth system. And so you talked about affordability. HUD has supported over 1 million Americans in home ownership and affordability, and over 560,000 are first-time home buyers. So I hope that the press will write about that good news, that 1 million people are able to own a home and to refinance their homes. And sir, we are moving our building from DC to Alexandria, Virginia. So thank you for your support. We're going to save the American people about $500 million. So that's my report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Scott, very much. Brooke?
Well, coming off of Thanksgiving, moving towards Christmas, I think it's the season of Thanksgiving, and 2 words for me are gratitude and joy. Gratitude to you for, as Howard said, bringing this team together. I say it a lot, but I'll say it again, that this is like family at this point, and I don't know that there's ever been an organization like this, at least a government like this in the history of our country. These jobs are hard, but the joy every day in getting to fight for America and save the country is the privilege of all of our lifetimes, I believe. So thank you for that. At U.S. Department of Agriculture, the People's Department, Abraham Lincoln